What is up, YouTube? Welcome back to Party Chat Sports. We're here again with another tier list. Today we are ranking the QBs in the NFL. We got about 64 QBs to get through, so we're not going to waste much time. But here in the middle of the summer, end of June, early July, no training camps have started yet. NCAA 25's not out yet, so we're just vibing, waiting for desperately to get some news here on the channel. So we're gonna rank some QBs today. Hopping over on our list here, I just got to hit start on my recording now, and we're good to go. So we are here. We are on the tier maker list. We have a bunch of quarterbacks down below here. You see our categories, starting with the bottom. Poverty QBs, just not good. Enough said there. Career backups, mid, above average starters, franchise caliber good NFL QBs, and then your top 5 category really is guys that are jostling for that top 5, and we'll see if there's 5 or more or less in that top 5. I know it's kind of weird to think about it that way. And then the best up at the top there. And so all the QBs down below here are grouped together by division, it looks like. So starting off real hot here with the division rival of mine here as a Steelers fan. But Lamar Jackson is the first QB on our board, and he right away is going to go to the top 5 category. I mean, I don't think there's much debate in that. And he's going to go towards the front of that top 5 category. He's a good QB. He can run. He's a dynamic playmaker. He has his issues throwing the ball, but even with all that said, he has the ability to certainly cement himself in that top 5 discussion. So there's no question there on where he should be. And I think that's really enough said there. Next one, Joe Burrow. So this is a question, and maybe we'll circle back to him. But we're going to put Joe Burrow in franchise caliber good NFL QBs to start because Buddy been struggling. One, he can't stay healthy. And he's kind of getting into like system QB territory. I don't know. Maybe I'm just hating. I could be. We'll see. We'll see how many we end up with in that top 5 category, and we'll come around back to Joe Burrow. But there are some question marks, certainly with his health, not being able to stay healthy, and that's taken a toll on him. And I think it's brought him out of this top 5 discussion. So we'll see when we get there. Next one, though, Deshaun Watson, mid. I mean, honestly, he shouldn't even be a starter. Super overpaid, not good, and he probably is very close to getting into career backup territory. And we'll see. We'll see what happens with him with the Browns. I mean, the Browns are kind of in a tough spot. Have to pay that guy, or they paid him. They didn't have to pay him, but they did. Now you got to play him. Or else you're on the hook for quite a lot of money. So we'll see how many more years the Deshaun Watson experiment lasts in Cleveland. But his new backup, Jameis Winston here, and he's firmly into career backup territory now. I think that he, had some potential, has a big arm, obviously. The question mark was like his decision making, but he's just, he's firmly a career backup these days. And now the Cleveland Browns backup, but we'll see. Maybe he gets an opportunity to start a few games for Cleveland this year. We'll see. Now to the Steelers quarterbacks, and I'm probably going to show a little bit of bias here. Russell Wilson, Justin Fields. I think given the landscape of the NFL and where we have starting quarterbacks at, I'm going to start both of them in the above average starter category. And I'm going to put Justin Fields slightly above Russell Wilson just because I'm trying to manifest something here. I'm trying to manifest Justin Fields getting into that top 16 discussion of an above average NFL starter. But we'll see them. They'll be towards the back half of that above average starter ranking. So I'm putting Fields ahead of Wilson here, even though Fields might not even play and Wilson might play the whole year. I'll probably do a Steelers-specific episode, in the future here before training camp starts. But they're both good. Fields, obviously, with the potential to elevate his game with some of those magnificent plays he can make with his legs and his arm, but it's more the accuracy and the decision-making with him. Wilson, he was in that franchise caliber, good NFL QB, top 5 QB earlier in his career, but just recently, obviously, with the Broncos, he's fallen off a little bit, and he's getting old now, and he's just a weird dude too. So we're going to put him in above average NFL starter. But by the end of the year, Russell Wilson could go down to mid, career backup, or maybe a retirement category. We'll see. But jumping now, divisions, that's the AFC North done. Going to the AFC South here, C.J. Stroud. He's a top 5 QB, man, and he is going above Lamar Jackson. I mean, we all love Stroud here on the channel. Dude is so good. He was our number 1 QB coming out. He immediately elevated his team. I mean, it's just, you can't say enough good things about C.J. Stroud and that Houston Texans team. I made a whole video specifically about Houston, about how they are here to stay. They're going to be in the AFC caliber for a long time coming, and we will see what that's all about. Moving on here, though, we have Anthony Richardson. Here's an interesting one because he didn't play that much. He got hurt, but when he did play, he flashed. I mean, he has a build of a quarterback we've never seen before. 6'5", 6'6", whatever he is, like 250 pounds, but it's all muscle. And I mean, he's got potential for days. And so with that, we're going to put him up into franchise caliber, good NFL QB, but he has a ton to prove this year. I mean, he's a guy that could fluctuate between a top 5 caliber quarterback all the way down to mid, because we just don't know that much about him. But the tools are there. This is a guy Cam jumped on before any of us when he picked the Colts as his team earlier in the offseason. Because he believed in a guy like Anthony Richardson. I was a little bit more down on him. He just seemed very raw. Wasn't that good at Florida, but I mean, he's one of those guys that maybe a better NFL QB than a college QB. But the book is open on him. I mean, we got a lot to be seen here. Next one, Joe Flacco, career backup now at this point in his career. Not much to say about Joe Flacco. I hate him as a Ravens quarterback, as well as blowing the Steelers' chances at a playoff berth a couple years ago. What can I say? He's a career backup these days. But, hey, I'm sure he's a good guy. Trevor Lawrence is next, and if you put up the stats, Trevor Lawrence and like a Daniel Jones, we're going to see where Daniel Jones lands on this list here in a little bit. They're very similar. I'm pretty sure those are the two guys you put them up. They're very similar, and he just got paid a bag as the highest paid quarterback currently tied in the NFL. But our stance on Mr. Trevor Lawrence on this channel. Buddy is not great, so we're gonna put him in above average starter territory. I'm trying to move him to the left of Fields. There we go. Is he a top 16 quarterback in the NFL? Yeah, he is. But is he worth the price tag that they're scared of him? No. And that's because there's a team out there, the Jags, that were so scared of not having a quarterback that they way overpaid a quarterback just to have one that is, above average. He's a good NFL quarterback. I'm not even going to put him in the franchise caliber because, I mean, he's just, we'll see what the Jags do, but they haven't accomplished anything with him as their quarterback recently. Next up on the list is Mr. Mason Rudolph, probably one of the better QB2s out there. We're going to put him in career backup, though, because that's what he's been. He had some flashes of mid at the end of last year, and I made some videos on that whole situation, and it kind of led to the implosion of the whole Kenny Pickett era in Pittsburgh. But it sort of led to Pittsburgh getting a guy I love in Justin Fields, and Russell Wilson. So, Mason Rudolph, good guy, had some success there in Pittsburgh to get them to the playoffs. Imploded in that playoff game and was one of the main reasons that they lost. So he is a career backup. Will Levis, though, next, and he's going to go in that mid category. A guy that has potential to be an above average starter. Needs to show some consistency. He's got a great arm. Had some stuff show up on social media with whatever, but we're going to just focus on his football game. And he is mid, and I think that's okay for him right now. He's like mid with potential to go up versus Deshaun Watson is mid with potential to go down. So that's a good spot to be. Moving on though, Bo Nix. I had a rookie category on here to start, but that just felt like too easy. So Bo Nix is going in the career backup category. I don't believe in Bo Nix. I think Bo Nix is trash, personally. Shouldn't have been drafted in the first round. He should have been drafted in the second or the third, and he should be a backup to start his NFL career. So we'll see. He's probably going to start. It's going to be kind of similar probably to like when Kenny Pickett was starting. It was just So I think eventually the career trajectory for Bo Nix is to be a career backup. Zach Wilson, the first of our poverty QBs. Trash, terrible, had potential, was getting it with the moms, but, turned out he wasn't that good of a quarterback. He had some really good numbers in a COVID season at BYU. Had a couple cool throws. That's cool. Hasn't done anything since. And is a huge bust at number 2 overall for the New York Jets, and I don't think Gil's going to disagree with that. This next guy, I don't even know who it is, so we're just going to throw him at the bottom of the poverty QB. That's probably like Trevor Siemian or something. I literally don't know who that is, so obviously he's going at the bottom. Next one, Patrick Mahomes. We all know where this boy's going. Very top of the list. He's the best quarterback in the NFL. Kind of spoiler mid-episode of where the people are going to end up, but yeah. Come on, you knew where he was going. He's the GOAT. He's the greatest of all time. Going to have the most successful career of all time, on trajectory at least, to rival that of Tom Brady, and with oozing talents. Won the Super Bowl with the least talented offensive round him recently. So I think we kind of know what's going on there. Next one, Mr. Aiden O'Connell. I think we're going to throw him in the career backup category, right around a Mason Rudolph. He did have some starts in there. Kind of feels like our next quarterback, Gardner Minshew, might end up being the starter, and Aiden O'Connell is going to be their long-term backup, and that's perfectly fine. That's a great career to have. We are not knocking Aiden O'Connell in the party chat here today. So career backup, perfectly good spot for him to be. But that leads us to Gardner Minshew, and I think he's mid. And he's mid above Deshaun Watson. Because Gardner Minshew he's a baller. He's a guy. And when he was with Jacksonville, pretty sure he was putting up better numbers than T-Law was. And they were a more successful team. Wow, can't talk, at that point than when T-Law was around. And there's probably some numbers out there floating around to back me up on that. So that's where Gardner Minshew goes in the mid category, and that's perfectly fine for him. And honestly, on his good days, he's an above average NFL starter. So we'll see what's going on there. Jay Herbo, free Jay Herbo. Put this man up where he belongs. He is a top 5 quarterback. And spoiler alert, I think he's going to end up at this list at number 2. Because free Jay Herbo, man. Free my boy. I love that dude, and he's so talented. Great arm, great hair. Chargers, please do not fail him like you failed everybody ever in your entire existence of the franchise. Sorry to have to throw that shade. But that leads us to our next guy, Dakota Prescott. He's going up here above Joey Burr, Joey Cold. Dakota Prescott gonna get so much money from somebody, whether it's Dallas or not. He's going to get a lot of money, and it's going to be controversial as all head. I don't know what YouTube's rules are on that. So he's going to get a lot of money. It's going to be super controversial, but he's a good NFL quarterback, man. I mean, I don't know what else to tell you. This ain't a playoff ranking, okay? It's just an NFL quarterback ranking, all right? So we're not even going to open up that can of worms right now. I'll let Drew do it later. But this brings us now to the Giants. And this is going to be funny because They got 3 quarterbacks on this list for whatever reason, and none of them are good. Daniel Jones is poverty. He's a terrible quarterback, especially for $40 million. Drew Lock is a career backup. We're going to throw him right after Mason Rudolph, because why not? And I think that's Tommy DeVito. We'll put DeVito above Zach Wilson, but they got 2 poverty quarterbacks. One of them they're paying $40 million a year, and a career backup. So, not ideal, I don't think. There. Next one, Jalen Hurts. He's one, man. He's like right in this. He's an above average starter. I mean, if you pull him out and put somebody else in, they're gonna get worse. Franchise caliber, good QB. I mean, that team around him was so good. How good really was Jalen Hurts? Like we're gonna have to see the next couple of years how Jalen Hurts' career develops to determine how good really was he, because there's a lot of tush pushing going on. I don't want to get too controversial. Jaden Daniels. I think he's just going to start off in the mid category, honestly. He's mid. We're going to put him above Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson should be a career backup, but again, he's not. Oh, I guess he's above Minshew. He's right in that range. He's going to be mid right now. And that's okay for him. That's perfectly okay. That's where he's going to start. We'll see. He's another one of those guys that if he puts on some weight onto that frame, he could go up and be kind of where Anthony Richardson is, or at least be up there, above Justin Fields, above average starter. Or if he doesn't and he struggles, he's a career backup, or he's poverty, or he's going to be down there with Zach Wilson. I mean, that's a big range of where a guy could end up. So we'll see. Another one, Marcus Mariota, Mr. Career Backup himself. Right about there, feels fine. Nothing more to be said there. Caleb Williams, I think right off the rip, he is going to be an above-average NFL starter. So we'll put him above Fields because Bears shipped Fields out so they could get Williams. So they obviously think Williams is going to be better. I think that's probably realistic as well. Very talented dude, number 1 overall pick. We'll see. We'll see where he ends up, where he lands, and see how that career plays out. He's going to have a much better cast than Fields had in any of his 3 years. But we'll see how Caleb Williams does in Chicago. Jared Goff, good NFL QB, franchise-type guy, borderline above-average NFL starter, another guy that's supremely overpaid. But, Lions had a great year, and he was definitely one of the reasons. He gets a lot of love-hate from Detroit fans. I think that's just how Detroit fans are. Interesting year, and he's just a polarizing guy. Good guy, nonetheless, but, sometimes he'll play like that number 1 pick he was, and other times he doesn't. And I think that's kind of been his career leading up to this point. Jordan Love, another guy, he's an above-average NFL starter, but he's not better than Hurts or T-Law, probably. I don't get it. Yeah, he beat the Cowboys in a wild card game, and that whole Cowboys team imploded on itself, and the Packers played well. But rather than that, what did Jordan Love do all year? I mean, I watched him play a couple games. He played the Steelers, didn't look that great, missed a couple touchdowns that probably would have won the Packers that game. And he broke out and he had a good year. But I don't get the Jordan Love hype. I'll be honest about that. Sam Darnold, definitely in this career backup category. He's been epitome of what a career backup kind of is, and he's been having a decent career about it. So we'll go from there. J.J. McCarthy, I think he's another one. He's going to start out in the mid category. Obviously with potential to move up or down. He could be an above-average NFL starter. Certainly. He's got arm talent. He's going to have a good team around him. Don't tell Cam I said that. But we'll see. We'll see if he even plays this year. And, Sam Darnold's going to be the starter probably, and JJ's going to ease into it. But anybody thrown to Justin Jefferson can probably look semi-decent. And that's kind of what leads us into our next quarterback, Kirk Chains. He is the definition of mid throughout his career, but he is above average in the NFL landscape. I'm going to stick him above Jordan Love. He's right in that Hurts, Lawrence, Kirk Cousins landscape, I think. I think that's a very fair valuation for where those guys land. And a lot of it being he's coming off of a major injury. He may never be the same Kirk we've ever seen ever again. He may not even last all season because the guy right behind him Michael Penix, is going to be knocking on the doorstep. Obviously, a super interesting decision that Atlanta made at the time. So that kind of leaves us with Penix. I'm going to put him in the mid category. I think he's right in here. I kind of liked him better than Jaden Daniels, but again, Daniels was picked, definitely a handful of spots higher. So I don't know, not all that great. Rookies, man, I should have just had a rookie category on here. Would have saved me some headache. Bryce Young. Where do we put Bryce Young? He made some improvements last year on an improving Carolina team, but he's mid. I think he's a definition of mid. We'll see if he even gets a second contract with Carolina. I think he's another guy that has a lot to prove over the next couple of years. Derek Carr, he's a career backup. Let's be realistic, man. That feels wrong. That feels wrong. Let's put him in the mid category. A couple of NFC South QBs. Put him below Bryce Young. I don't know. I don't know, man. He feels better than that, right? Maybe not. Derek Carr's always been like that. He's been an enigma. Another rookie, Spencer Rattler. He's going to go in the mid category as well. I actually think the Saints got a steal with this pick because I think Spencer Rattler is going to be just fine for them. I think he'll end up starting a few games too. So it kind of tells you where I feel, I guess. So on the overall QB situation there. So yeah, Baker Mayfield, above average NFL starter. I mean, certainly revived his career the last year or so with Tampa Bay. Made the playoffs, had a good showing. Baker Mayfield, grinder, hard-nosed guy. He's an above-average NFL starter, and he deserves the other contract he got there with Tampa Bay. Kyler Murray, an enigma himself. I mean, he's right again, borderline above-average NFL starter and mid, but I'll throw him in the above-average NFL starter category. Simply because, man, now I'm gonna have to start scrolling on my screen here. Simply because he is, I think he's a top 16 quarterback in the NFL. And if I were to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. He's 15. So obviously the above average NFL starter is gonna have more than 16 people in it and above. Hey man, it's my list, not yours. Get over it, because there's going to be more in there. Starting with the next guy, Matthew Stafford. I think Matthew Stafford is an above-average NFL starter, and I'm going to put him all the way up here above Jordan Love because I think he's better than Jordan Love. Yeah, super talented guy. Going to be in the Hall of Fame one day probably. Super Bowl champ. Number 1 overall pick for a reason. Getting up there in age, kind of in that same Kirk O'Chain's boat. But we'll see. Brock Purdy, man. Brock Purdy's going down here below Jordan Love because if there's any team that I thought, or any quarterback I thought was carried even more by his team other than Jordan Love, it was freaking Brock Purdy. Anybody can throw to wide open receivers. Gil is going to defend him to the day he dies, probably because they're both short kings, but don't tell Gil I said that. Yeah, but he's an above average NFL starter. Whatever, it is what it is. Geno Smith, probably the epitome career backup that got to start a few games, so we'll throw him in the career backup category. But yeah, he should have never been starting, in my opinion. They should have tried to get Drew Lock out there or develop something because Geno Smith's not the guy. He's never been the guy. But he's a great career backup that can start for you for a couple of seasons. Kind of how that shakes down. Sam Howell, next one. He is now a career backup, but I think he was mid there for a while. He's got potential to be like a good career backup. I'll move him up above Aiden O'Connell. And you know what? I'm gonna move Mason Rudolph up too because I feel like excuse me, he's one of the better backups in the league. Just wanted to circle back to that. But yeah, Sam Howell, we'll see if he ever plays again, if we ever see him. we'll see. We'll see if he hits the field. Josh Allen definitely belongs up here in the top 5 category. I'm going to have to do some scrolling to get him up here. And I think he rounds out as the number 5 QB in the NFL because with all his strengths and weaknesses and flaws, one of the flaws that he has is the winning. But you could say the same thing for Jay Herbo, so I'm not really going to harp on that too much. But I think he firmly belongs in the top five discussion, and I think that's all that needs to be said about that. 4 more to go here. We're getting there. Aaron Rodgers. I think Aaron Rodgers is above average NFL starter, but we have not seen him play for a long time, so he's going to kind of fit into that mold. But he could be mid these days. We don't know, truthfully, what he's going to turn out to be, but odds are he's probably going to be an above average NFL starter. Tua. Tua's mid, man. Tua is mid, and I think it's going to be controversial putting him there. I think he's a product of having some of the best wide receivers and offensive weapons and an offensive-minded head coach in the NFL. I think you stick any quarterback in that system, and they're going to be pretty decent. So I think Tua is mid. 2 more. Drake May. I think Drake May is going to start out in the mid category, but I'm going to put him second highest of the rookie quarterbacks. Sure, I'll put him above Derek Carr just because, one, I don't want to fiddle with it too much, and I think that's probably fine. I think Drake May is going to turn out to be pretty decent. And honestly, he could be towards to the top of this mid category. But that's just where he landed when I let go of the cursor, and I think that's perfectly fine. And then Jacoby Brissett, man, this dude deserves so much more. He's going in the mid category too. He's just like a Gardner Minshew that just doesn't get the opportunity. Jacoby Brissett is so good, I promise you guys. And he just, whether it be the situation he's found himself in, backing up Tom Brady or backing up a $200 million criminal, it is what it is. But he's certainly above Deshaun Watson. So here's your list. I think it's pretty decent. Circling back to guys like where we put Prescott and Burrow, I think that's perfectly fine. They're right outside of that top 5 because look at who we got in the top 5. I'm not moving any of those guys out for Prescott or Burrow. I'm not doing it. I think that's a perfectly reasonable list. So Mahomes number 1, Herbert number 2, Stroud number 3, Jackson 4, Allen 5, Dakota Prescott 6, Burrow 7, Goff 8, Anthony Richardson hung up there at 9 is actually crazy. That's wild. I'm not changing it. Whatever, that's fine. If he reaches his potential, that's where he'll be. If not, he'll be mid, like we talked about. That makes Jalen Hurts 10, T-Law 11, Kirk O'Chains 12, Stafford 13, Love 14, Brock 15, Baker 16, Caleb Williams 17, Kyler Murray 18, Aaron Rodgers 19, Justin Fields 20, and Wilson 21. I think that's a fair analogy. Tua 22, Will Levis 23, Brissett 24, Minshew 25, Bryce Young 26, Drake May 27, Derek Carr 28, Jaden Daniels 29, Michael Penix 30, J.J. McCarthy 31, Spencer Rattler 32, Deshaun Watson 30. Spencer Rattler 32. There's your 32 starting NFL QBs if that was in any way important. 33, Deshaun Watson. Like I said, he should be a backup. Funny how that worked out. 34, Geno Smith. Howell 35. You see the rest of them. Nobody cares about those guys. So that's the list. Comment down below what you think, if you like it or not. I think I did a pretty good job. So thanks again for tuning in. Subscribe if you enjoy the content. Like the party. Like the channel. Like the video. Like everything. I don't care. Comment down below what you thought. And we'll see y'all next time. Peace.